Cowboys steamrolled the Rams yesterday, and the Eagles won in the last minute against the Redskins. Now, both teams are 7-7 when they meet this Sunday. If the Cowboys win, they clinch the NFC East. And if the Eagles win, they could win the division if they go on to win the following week as well against the Giants. So joining us now, Fox Sports NFL analyst Michael Vick. Good morning.
Good morning. Here we go.
All right. So, Mike, from what you saw yesterday, between the Cowboys and Eagles, who has the edge going into Sunday?
I think Dallas has the advantage. You know, Dallas still has the big three, Dak, Zeke, and Amari. And that's offense instantly right there if used correctly. And the win yesterday gave them a lot of morale, I tell you that. It does a lot for a locker room on both sides of the ball, in which they are healthy on the offensive side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball. They got all the pieces in place. The Eagles, on the other hand, you know, they gotta fight for everything right now. And it wasn't an easy win versus the Washington Redskins, but they found a way to do it, and I think they found a formula. But the only thing that's helping them right now, and what will help them this Sunday, is them being at home. But you know, we just got Carson standing and a couple good defensive players. You know, it doesn't seem like a good fit for the Philadelphia Eagles,
especially late.
I think Carson has stepped up to the plate. I think he's done great, you know, in terms of what they've needed him to do, and the amount of weapons around him. It's just hard to look at this team and say, you know, this is a team that we want to see in the playoffs because of just the lack of talent that they have. A lot of guys on the sideline, a lot of guys on IR. It's just not a good fit. But for the Cowboys, they're in a good stand. They're in a good situation right now.
If this Eagle team were to make the playoff, they're getting beat by 20 points, whoever they play at home, their first game, Skip. Right now, the Eagles are being held together by Elmer's glue and popsicle sticks. I mean, Skip, you look, I mean, this is not what Doug Peterson expected at the beginning of the season. He's like, my wide receivers are going to be D-Jack, Alshon, maybe sprinkling a little Aguilar. We got Arcega-Whiteside, maybe he'll contend, and he'll be our third receiver. We got those two tight ends, Goddard and Ertz. We good, Miles Sanders, so we're going to be good in that area. But I tell you what's most disappointing to him is the way his defense is playing. His defense has let him down, Skip. That unit should be better. They've made marginal quarterbacks look unbelievable. There's no way Dwayne Haskins should look like this against an experienced ball club like the Philadelphia Eagles. And they are not playing up. They're not holding up their end of the deal. If they had a bunch of guys, if Jenkins and some of these other guys on IR, Fletcher Cox, okay, I would get it. But they're healthy. There's no reason whatsoever for this defense to be this bad. And for back-to-back weeks, Carson Wentz has to work magic against a team that has, and I get it, we understand, Mac, you know this very well. Division opponents, when they're not going anywhere, the thing that they take great satisfaction in is knocking your butt out the playoffs so you can't go. When they say misery loves company, you better believe that. Because when I wasn't going to the playoffs, let Kansas City got a chance. I'm trying to have my best game against you. You're not going, we going home together. Everybody gonna cut off their power to the apartments at the same time. We going home, y'all going home. Raiders, same thing. But this, Skip, look, the Cowboys, what they put together yesterday and the way their defense played, they went and got 44 against an 8-5 team, the Rams, that have been playing white hot. And we had to nick, scratch, claw, beg, borrow, and steal to be the Washington team that's been left for dead for 6 weeks. And this is where we are. So the Cowboys have to feel good about themselves. But as long as I got walking to them, I got a chance.
You got a
chance. And I got walking to them.
As long as you got that green suit on, you got a chance.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's some Eagle green right there.
I didn't plan on this, but it just happened. It just happened.
You didn't plan on it?
I didn't plan on it.
I think you are representing.
I should have worked
Friday.
Friday. Don't be surprised if it come back Friday for good luck.
Yeah,
really?
Sure.
Yeah, it might come back for good luck.
I'm going to discount everything you said. I'm going to take to the bank everything he said because there's method to your madness. You want to fuel that underdog fire that Dougie P will be beating that drum for, pouring gasoline on that fire all week. You are a home underdog. They're going to come in here and embarrass you. They're going to try to steamroll you on the way to the division title in a home playoff game. Are you going to let that happen?
Yep.
That's what Dougie P is going to be preaching in that locker room every second, out on that practice field every second. So I'm going to say this, because I'm going to be careful with those Eagles, because I do still respect, and I'll go so far as to fear, the defensive front seven. On paper, it's better than my front seven. It just is. I don't know why it hasn't played up to that, but neither is mine for much of the year. But if I start reading you the names across that front, you know and I know, it is stout, man. And if they rise up and play the way my team suddenly got inspired to play yesterday, they'll hang tough in this game. You better believe they will.
At some point in time, you got to have pieces. Offensively, they just don't have the weaponry to compete with Dallas on a consistent basis, down in and down out. That's
you know what? Miles Sanders is pretty good.
Oh, he's getting better.
He's getting better.
He's getting better.
I mean, he scares me. And little Boston Scott scares me because he's a little pepper pot fire plug. You know, just he starts fires because he can get loose. And Greg Ward Jr., I told you earlier in the show, I respect him, a former Texas State High School Player of the Year who was a really good college quarterback, who also played receiver in college. And it feels like he and Carson are developing a wavelength because he thinks like a quarterback, and Carson can trust he's going to be there when he's supposed to be there.
And think about it. He beat Josh Norman. Skip, Josh Norman was once the highest paid corner. Now, he's just a shell of himself, and I always thought that he was overvalued, but that's neither here nor there. But to make that play, he's only going to gain more confidence.
He just outquicked him to the flag.
Because in a situation like that, when you're dealing with a guy like this, a guy that was a practice squad guy, Skip, he got released. You're like, and then you start to doubt, am I good enough? They bring you back, you get cut again, and then you start playing. And you see the quarterback, that's Carson Wentz. That's just not any quarterback that's going to be out, that's going to, with somebody, they're waiting to draft somebody, and he's going to be in there. That's your franchise guy. And he has confidence in me. He gave me the, look at this. To Skip that big third down, he threw the ball to him. Not Ertz. Now, you know Ertz is his favorite target. He's like, no, I'm going to this kid. And on the game-winning touchdown, he goes to this kid. Now this kid like, man, I belong. Now, he's going to be the deal with moving forward. The confidence that you get by having a guy like Carson Wentz throw you the ball in those type situations, Skip. But again, it's still, you talk about Greg Ward Jr., he's still, Skip, an undrafted free agent that was on the practice squad.
He's been on that practice.
I think he was a quarterback. At first, and for the Philadelphia Eagles, when, you know, the only thing they can hang their hat on, I think, is that Doug Peterson has found a formula that works, you know, down the stretch. It's helping Carson Wentz be a better quarterback without the weapons that they don't have. It's allowing guys who are just average players to show up a little bit. And, you know, if he can do that, then they may have a chance. But I doubt it because the Dallas Cowboys, I think they're hitting their stride right now.
The reason why they won this game, Skip, you look at red zone efficiency, they're 4 for 5. Goal-to-goal efficiency, they're 3 or 4. That'll do it. When you get down there and you don't kick field goals, you settle for you get touchdowns instead of kicking field goals. That's the difference in the ball game, and that's going to be the difference. Now, I don't know how many times they'll get there, but when you get down in there, you better cash it in because Dallas, with what I saw the Eagles put on tape yesterday against Washington, Dallas will hang 45 on.
Yeah, they struggled.
That was the Dallas you saw yesterday. Not the Dallas I saw the week before and the week before and the week before.
I said the Dallas that we saw yesterday.
Okay, I would like to believe my team exploded and took off and launched yesterday. And I've been telling you for weeks, I know it's in there. I got to see it. And they need to feel it because to your first point, once that happens, once 44-21 happens, and it was 37-7 with 6 minutes to go.
Especially late in the season.
Once that happens, you explode.
Sure.
And you remember Troy Aikman said at the end of the telecast on the Thursday night at Chicago, boy, it's just hard to imagine how they're going to come back from this.
Right.
But Troy did acknowledge late in yesterday's game that, hey, in our 1995 push to the Super Bowl, because I was there, I wrote a book about it and covered it every game. They lost 3 of 5 late. Then they came home and they barely beat the Giants 21-20. Then they went to Arizona, and Troy mentioned this yesterday with 2:30 left in the game. We went and won at Arizona. Arizona finished 4-12 that year, and they just routed them. It was 37-7. And Troy said, we took off.
Right.
Well, so it's possible. Now, that team was way better than this team. It was loaded.
And plus, they had already won 2 Super Bowls and lost the NFC Championship the year before.
And that team wound up. That team wound up 12-4.
But how about you give what you call him? Old Red some credit. He showed him that highlight tape. He said, guys, this is what we are.
He said
this is what we're capable of being.
Red had his best game of the year last year doing
this.
He was his best the whole year.
Skip,
and
the highlight tape.
His butt slapping yesterday was extraordinary. I've never seen anything like his butt slapping.
So you ain't gonna give him
He was really good. I mean, it was like all-pro butt slapping.
What about the highlight tape that he showed?
It was Hall of Fame butt slapping.
So you don't want to give better about the highlight tape.
It went in one eye and out the other.
No, you saw the way they played.
I told you what happened last week. all they heard all week was, people are betting you from a 3.5-point favorite to a 2-point dog at home, as in dog.
Watch what Dougie P got another one. Dougie P got the video crew right now working on a highlight tape.
He does.
He gonna show them that thing. Yeah. He gonna come out. They gonna be spraying fire. Final countdown.
Okay. I've told you from day one this year, my team's a little better than your Eagles. It's just a little bit better. I think my quarterback's a little bit better.
Right now.
Okay. And I think they will carry huge momentum into a game at Philly where they're good at Philly. They've always played tough at Philly. You remember a few games?
Yeah, I mean, this game is a rival.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll always be that way. I actually thought it was week 17. I didn't know it was this week. That's my fault for not knowing. But it couldn't have came at a better time. You know, when both teams have come for Dallas and I think for Philadelphia. If you know, you have some type of momentum going in after a win, and a win is a win. And
listen, in 2 division wins in a row, I give you. Listen, Carson led a drive that beat the Giants, and he led a drive that beat the Redskins, even though the rest of the game was disposable.
They're gonna have to do something that they didn't do the last. They're gonna have to get some turnovers.
Yeah,
I don't know if they can go head to head with Dallas unless they get a couple of extra possessions. That's the way they're gonna have to win this game.
You're right, and finally, my defense is contagiously taking the football away.
Yeah.
I love
Walk it to him,
If both teams show up, the Dallas Cowboys should win.
Okay.
Bottom line.
That's good. But the one guy I fear the most is number 86. He's still there. When you say there's lack of weaponry, Zach Ertz is really good. There are days I think he's better than Kelsey, and there are days I think Kelsey's better.
Well, right now, George Kittle is the best tight end.
You could make that.
Easy.
I know we saw them face off week 7. It just feels like a long time ago. 2 different teams, a long time
Payback.
between these two.
The
Maybe
big
a
payback.
highlight video of that game.
Yeah, the big payback. That was old Dougie P. Old Dougie P got something brewing too now.
Highlight video.